What's going on YouTube? Jason Dragonbane here, and we have some Yu-Gi-Oh news today for the Infernoids. They got all the monsters that I'm expecting them to get for this, at least for the Secrets of Eternity set, revealed this morning. And I have to admit, guys, this archetype went from it's going to be okayish to oh wow, this stuff has some good support. So first off were the three monsters that we already knew of. We knew of Infernoid Beelzebub. He was level 2, 0 attack, 2000 defense, and he could bounce a face-up card to the opponent's hand. And then they all have you can tribute a monster to banish a card from your opponent's graveyard. They all have that effect to some effect or another, just depending on which one you're talking about. And then all of them cannot be special summoned if you control effect monsters that have effect or rank up to unless you control level 8 or below effect monsters and rank. So if you control anything over combined of 8, you can't special summon anymore. So that's a little bit of a anti-swarm mechanic to where you can't swarm these guys onto the field by just banishing a whole bunch. So it's going to keep the deck in check basically by that itself. And then the second monster that we knew of already was Lucifugus. He can pop a monster and then he just can't attack. He was 1600 and like 0 defense. Pretty good card. And then their biggest boss monster we already knew of was Nehemoth. Level 10, 3000 attack, 3000 defense. He banishes he special summons by banishing 3 Infernoid monsters. And then when he's special summoned, you can blow up the field of all monsters. And then he's the only one that does not allow you to banish from your opponent's graveyard, but he tributes a monster, and then you can negate a spell and trap. So Nehemoth is by far a very good boss monster, especially when we know Qliphorphs are going to be at least in the meta over here by the time these guys come out. So we already have an answer to killer right away. So on to the new support that we got. So the first one we got was Infernoid, what did they call him? Astaroth. He is level 4, 1800 attack, and 0 defense. This is Lucifugus for spells and traps. Once per turn, he can destroy a spell and trap card, and then he can't attack. And he's got 1800 attack and 0 defense, so he's already a good beater just to himself, but then he has this great control aspect. So that's going to be pretty good to help get rid of problematic spells right away. You don't have to worry about walking into your spells as long as this guy, or your opponent's traps as long as this guy's on the field. So it's going to be pretty helpful out, and he's got a pretty good stats. Alright, next up is Infernoid Asmodee. This guy is level 5, 2200 attack, and 0 defense. He can only, or I forgot to mention, Beelzebub, Lucifugus, and Asmodee can only be special summoned from the hand. All the other ones, as of right now, can summon from the hand and graveyard by banishing. So, Infernoid Asmodee is our level 5 monster, 2200 attack, 0 defense. He can only be special summoned by banishing 2 Infernoid monsters from your hand or graveyard while you are 8 or less. And then, when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent by attacking an opponent's monster, you can send 1 random card from their hand to the graveyard. That effect's pretty good depending on what you're fighting. If you're fighting Shaddolls, well, then you can sort of give your opponent a plus, and if you're fighting Burning Abyss, they'll still gain a sort of a plus. So it just sort of depends on what you're fighting on how useful Asmodee can be. But if you're fighting something he's not super useful against, he's still banish fodder. So he's still pretty good, and he's got some really good stats for only banishing 2 Infernoids. And then he also has the once per turn you contribute a monster to target a card in your opponent's graveyard and banish it. Next up we have the level 7 one, which is Infernoid Veil. Infernoid Veil is 2600 attack, 0 defense. So this deck is not going to be playing defensive at all unless you have Beelzebub. So he cannot be special summoned except by banishing 3 Infernoid monsters from your hand or graveyard while he's in the hand or the graveyard. So, what this guy does is, at the end of the battle phase, if he attacked, you can banish 1 card on the field. That is so good, it's not even funny. I mean, it's like, all you have to do is put this guy out, have him attack. It doesn't even matter if he destroyed the monster. He just has to hit it. And then at the end of the battle phase, you get to just banish one face-up card on the field. Doesn't even have to be your opponent's. You could banish one of your own. I don't know why you would want to do that, but who knows? Maybe there would be some combo in the future for that. I'm like, that is so good. I mean, attack over Winda. If they don't have anything to just say, oh, Veil, go away. Okay, end battle phase, banish Winda. You get nothing. That is so good. You can banish Dante. You can banish the Constellar XZ. So, I mean, this guy has some really good effect, especially for being 2600 and you only have to banish 3. It's still damn good. So, and then he also has the you can tribute 1 monster, banish 1 your opponent controls. Still good. I mean, you're going to be essentially saying your opponent can't play with their graveyard, which we all know. The graveyard in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is still one of the best things in the game. Alright, and then the last one that we already sort of knew of, but we didn't know what he did. We have Infernoid Aldrelmech. He is level 8, 2800 attack, 0 defense. He cannot be normal summon or special summon except by banishing 3 Infernoids from the hand or graveyard, and he can do it from the hand or graveyard as well. So, during the damage step, if he destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, he can make another attack. So this thing is a 2800 monster that as long as it destroys 1 monster and makes it hit the graveyard, he can hit again. That's pretty damn good. I mean, you might be clearing out multiple monsters with just 1 card. That's always good. And then his other effect is beautiful. So, once per turn during either player's turn, you can tribute 1 monster, then target 2 cards in your opponent's graveyard, and banish them. He gets rid of 2 cards in your opponent's graveyard for the cost of 1 monster. That is so lovely, it's not even funny. It's like, even with the Knee-Cloths that are coming out, if you can keep their graveyard empty to where they can't start sending the Shrits and getting those ritual spells back to their hand, oh my god, that would kill them. Now, this deck does have some weaknesses. Vanity's Emptiness, Imperial Iron Wall are going to be major weaknesses for this deck. So Misties are going to have to be run in this deck, period. You're going to have to run things like Burial from a Different Dimension and Miracle Dig so you can get those banished monsters back into your graveyard so you can use them again. So, I mean, there's ways to counteract this deck's weakness, but, I mean, if your opponent goes, like, first turn Vanities on you, you're going to be in trouble. Other tech cards, Curry Bandit I was thinking about, because if you can get a whole bunch of these guys to the graveyard, you have plays for days with these guys as long as you get some of the bigger ones to the graveyard. Turboz from the Forbidden Realms can add any of these guys. She's a little bit slow because she's a flip effect monster. I'm hoping they'll get like a dedicated searcher in like a magic or trap card form for themselves. But as of right now, Turbos is really the only way to search them to the hand, which, granted, Beelzebub, Lucifugus, and Astaroth, you do want in the hand because that's the only place they can special summon themselves. But so far, guys, I really like this archetype. It's got automatic outs to killer. It's got some really good control aspects. I'm looking very much forward to just play the heck out of this deck. I really hope DevPro gets them updated really quickly and gets all the bugs worked out really fast so that I can just start play testing these things like crazy. As always, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is Jason Dragonfire signing out.